Welcome to this first episode in a series about the mindset that makes the practice of Stoic strength training most effective. In episode 124, I introduced the details of the practice and the idea I'm now calling the non-negotiable mind. If the practice is the structure of your day, the warm-up, the workout, the cool-down, then the non-negotiable mind is the attitude that powers it. It's the shift from optional to required, from intention to identity, from negotiation to execution. Over the next 7 episodes, we're going to explore why this mindset works, how it transforms your behavior, and how it becomes the foundation for personal excellence. Hey there, it's me, Cor, and you're listening to Exercising Self-Control from Fitness to Flourishing. There's a strange contradiction in human behavior that almost no one notices. When your alarm goes off for work, you don't negotiate. You don't lie there debating whether you feel like getting up. You don't ask yourself if you're motivated. You don't run through excuses. You simply get up. But when it comes to your own goals, for example, cleaning your home, exercising, building your business, suddenly the negotiation begins. Suddenly you have options. Suddenly the mind becomes a courtroom and the current task is on trial. Why does this happen? The answer reveals the foundation of the non-negotiable mind. When something is truly required, for example, skills for a new job, a new commute, a new schedule, you adapt instantly. You don't think of it as, in quotes, building 10 new habits. You simply do what the situation demands. You get up earlier. You take a different route. You learn 8 new skills at work. You integrate all of it at once. This is the first clue. People are capable of adopting entire behavior skill sets when the behaviors are non-optional. The problem isn't capacity, it's perspective. When something is optional, you negotiate. When it's required, you act. This is where Stoic strength training diverges from conventional habit advice. Most people are told to focus on one habit at a time, maybe 2, maybe 3 if they're tiny. But that's not how real life works. Real life demands clusters of behaviors all at once. And people handle them just fine, as long as they're non-negotiable. This is the essence of the practice, the meta habit of Stoic strength training. The practice is not about the individual behaviors. It's about how you relate to the behaviors. When you schedule a task inside the practice, the thinking is already done. You've made the decision in advance. Now you're in execution mode. The task is non-negotiable. Not because you're forcing yourself, but because you've chosen to operate with excellence in the moment of choice. This is where the power of one comes in. You have one purpose, your operating purpose. One identity, your preferred self. One question, why is it I exercise virtuous self-control in the moment of choice? And one task, the next scheduled action in the practice. Everything simplifies, aligns, and becomes a matter of execution. You're not working on building habits. You're implementing the practice. As a result, habits are built. It happens naturally as a part of the process. When you implement the practice, you are the preferred self, because implementing the practice is what the preferred self does. This is the virtuous cycle of Stoic strength training. The reason you don't negotiate with your alarm clock is because the identity behind that action is already settled. You are someone who shows up for work. You're someone who provides. You're someone who fulfills obligations and commitments. But when it comes to your personal goals, the identity isn't settled. You haven't yet become someone for whom those actions are non-negotiable. The practice closes that gap. It turns your internal commitments into the same kind of non-optional behaviors you already execute flawlessly in other areas of life. It removes the debate. It removes the emotional filtering. It removes the should I or shouldn't I conversation entirely. You act because that's what your preferred self does. You operate with excellence because that's who you've chosen to be. You execute the next task because the practice is non-negotiable. By adopting the practice, you aren't just adding tasks to a calendar. You are settling the debate of who you are. When the identity is set, the action becomes inevitable. Stop asking if you feel like it and start acting because it is simply what you do. In the next episode, we'll go deeper into the psychology behind self-negotiation, why the mind looks for loopholes, why discomfort triggers avoidance, and why the cost of skipping feels invisible even when it's not. For now, remember this. You can choose to live your highest values while realizing your most important goals, but only if you stop negotiating with yourself. That's it for today. Catch you next time.